friends, welcome to this quite different filming spot for me. I'm feeling all kinds of just not at home and displaced at the moment. So we have just moved. This is a brand new little townhouse for us. We're just renting it at the moment because our plan was that we would rent here for 6 months while we looked for somewhere to buy, but with this whole lockdown thing, don't know when or how that's going to happen or what we're going to do moving forward. So despite the fact that I don't have the perfect setup today, Luca is asleep at the moment, the other two are watching something, I don't know how long that will last. So it's not ideal, but I just wanted to talk to you because there are a few things I wanted to share. I'm seeing lots of posts on social media from you guys, I'm getting questions from you, and I am feeling it myself. And so I want to talk about coping during lockdown when you've got kids with you. And before I get right into it, let me just recognize the privilege I have in sharing this, in that financially, my family hasn't really been that affected. My husband's job isn't affected. Obviously, I can still do the work that I do here with you online. And even though I'm at home with no time away from my kids, there are ways to manage it and it can be done. So just let me recognize that we haven't been affected in the way that so many of you have, and my heart just goes out to those of you who are really struggling for financial reasons, for health reasons, for all of the other areas of complication that there are. So why is this so hard? Like, I know there are all these posts going around about how people went to war and all we're being asked is to stay at home. Why is that so hard? And I think it's so hard because a lot of us spend our times keeping busy to avoid having to spend any time with ourselves. And this might not be true for everyone. Some of you might spend a lot of time with yourself and be really in touch. But I know even for me, someone who is reasonably in touch with myself, I spend a lot of time distracting myself from having to sit with the inner stuff, having to sit with just being comfortable in my own company. And so I know for a lot of us, this is really disconcerting because the distraction is gone. For many of us, the distraction of work. Plus, we're being put in this pressure cooker where we have no time away from our kids, or no real, regular, steady time away from our kids, that when we're going to work or we can do those activities outside the house that those things give us. And this is really uncomfortable for many of us. I know it's uncomfortable for me. I'm constantly at the moment picking up my phone. I have to really think about stopping myself reaching for just distraction, because that's all it is. Because at the moment we reach for distraction and we get more information about what's going on that feels stressful. So it's almost like we can't escape to anywhere really, with a few exceptions, that feels good at the moment. Being at home feels stressful, especially if you've got kids, because you can't just relax and watch Netflix, although that would be lovely. And looking for comfort in your phone, in social media at the moment also feels uncomfortable because you're obviously bombarded with all this either information about the virus or information about what you should be doing whilst you're staying home, which is for many of us impossible if you're at home with kids. So my first piece of advice is just please be gentle with yourself. Please, can we drop the expectations of doing it all perfectly? Can we drop the expectation of this is a time to be productive at home, to make your house spotless, to do all those things you said you were going to do, to homeschool your children? Let's just let them fall away. That's not possible. This is a time of high stress, of anxiety, of uncertainty. Our kids are feeling it, we're feeling it. This is not the time to drop a shit ton of expectations on ourselves to do more. This is the time to be able to almost take the invitation of being pulled back from distraction and to just be. And yes, it's uncomfortable because it's at times boring. It's at times painful because you've got to sit with emotions you don't necessarily want to sit with. But I think that's what we're being called to do, to just be and to notice and to be present in our relationships, even if they are hard, even if our relationships with our kids are hard, because they're testing us even more than normal. They're in an unknown position. They're anxious. And I know for mine, they're highly emotional. It's also full moon at the moment, so they're going crazy. They've got way more energy than this small house can contain. And I'm having to be a little bit creative about how I interact with them in order to not lose my mind. So the second thing I would say is try and get some time for yourself at some point in the day. So whether this is when your partner gets home so that you can go for a walk. Here in Australia, we're still allowed a visitor, so I can't see why, if you don't have a partner, you couldn't have someone come over and stay with your kids, even if you just go out for 10 minutes. If that's not possible, you have to resort to other measures to get some time on your own. So say you're a single mum, you don't have anyone to help out. I recommend earpods in, get them ready, go for a walk, or just take them somewhere they can run, an oval or something, and you just walk around by yourself listening to something, not listening to them. Obviously they need to be safe depending on the ages of your kids, but you really need to find some space just for you. Maybe it's once they're in bed, maybe you're giving yourself an hour to have a bath and do something nice and not get on social media after they're in bed. I think self-care at this time is even more important than at any other time, which is always important, but I think, yeah, just treating ourselves nicely is so important at this time. And when we're not getting that normal time that we get to ourselves, even running to the grocery store, things like that, because we're probably doing that a whole lot less often, you've got to find ways to get pockets of time to just kind of recalibrate and come back into your own body, because kids pull you in every direction. And I can feel my own anger rising, and the only way to kind of get rid of that is, for me, through movement and also time alone. So I need to make sure I'm getting that, and I think for most people that's probably the same. Another thing I really wanted to address is this idea of comparative suffering. So what I mean by this is I hear people saying, I'm really struggling with this, but I don't have a right to struggle because I haven't lost my job, because I'm not sick, because. But you have a right to feel however you feel. I am finding this frustrating, and I am in a very privileged position in that, like I said, we're physically okay, we're financially okay, and it's still hard. And those feelings, the days when I get up and I just think, oh, I don't want to do this anymore, I just want school to be back on, and I want to drop them off at school and have a few hours with just one child or no child. It's still okay to feel like that. I want to see my parents and I feel sad that I can't. I want to celebrate my sister-in-law turning 30. All of these things are okay. I can feel disappointed, I can feel sad, I can feel angry. Those feelings are okay, and so are yours, whatever they may be. It doesn't have to be that you're in the worst situation or that nobody else has it worse than you for you to voice how you feel, because emotions aren't logical or rational, they just are. And if you don't, I think, give them your attention, they just kind of get bottled up and they explode somewhere else. You may have already experienced that, I know I have. I've also found having a little bit of a routine to our days helps. So obviously we used to have the school routine, but we no longer have that. So I've found that of a morning we get up, we have quite a slow breakfast, it's kind of like a weekend. Then we get out of the house for a couple of hours, we go for a walk, we go for a bike ride, we go for a scoot, we come home and have lunch. Like at the moment, the little one's sleeping, the older two watch something on TV. Then again of an afternoon, we get out, we go for a walk. We're really lucky where we are here. There are lots of natural places where there's no people, so we can go and do that without coming across anyone. And then finally, before I head into like that whole bed bath time routine, because Andrew's been on afternoons, so it's only been me here, this is something that I have found so good. Put my AirPods in, I turn my favorite music on, so no podcast, nothing serious, just like my favorite old school tunes that take me right back. And I sit outside in the backyard with the kids and I look off into the horizon at the trees. I don't shut my eyes. It's not meditating with my eyes shut, because I actually feel paranoid I'm going to get hit in the head with a stick or a bat or something that my children are doing. And it's like watching your children with this beautiful soundtrack, and I can't hear them because I have earpods, so they can screech as loud as they want and I can't hear them. And it's just a really nice way to actually end the day. You could add a nice drink to that if you wanted, it doesn't really matter. But for me, it's just like 5 or 10 minutes, 15, 20 if the kids are okay and not completely starving, but just to kind of do nothing, but also enjoy listening to my favorite music and watching my kids. And it's helped me kind of appreciate them a little bit more. For some reason, I like them so much better when I can't hear their screeching. But also just being really present to the afternoon. The sky is beautiful. Often there's a breeze here. There are birds in the trees. And just noticing all these things, I don't know, it just puts me in a much better place to be able to tackle the bedtime routine after 12 plus hours of being at home alone with them all day. So that's where we're at. We're in this new house. We don't know anyone in this area. I already feel isolated, but then I don't know how much of the isolation is from being in a new area or from this lockdown. So I guess in a way it's kind of good because we're all in the same place. But I just want to send you some strength in this video. I just want to say we are all in this together, and it is really hard, and it's okay to say this is really hard. This is the hardest thing I've ever done. Get off social media. Stop looking at all those mums who are just killing it with their homeschooling. we don't need to homeschool. We just need to be present in this uncertain time for our kids and for ourselves. Look after yourself, and I'll see you in the next video.